unit. I can tell you that it is for mass retail, and I can tell you that within the next couple of weeks you'll be seeing it. The introduction to the public will be made. That's why we've hired Moving Ideas to assist us, and we expect that within the next 90 to 120 days you'll see distribution to the retail markets.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
When I logged on to the conference call, they told me to unmute myself, press *6, and that's what I just did, and it seemed to work. If everybody's pressing 7, that's maybe why you're not hearing anything.
Oh, wow, maybe the instructions are garbled here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, you issued a statement this morning at 9:50 about a marketing alliance. Can you elaborate a little bit, please?
I sure can. The company that we've engaged handles media, I guess all different forms, web, print, as well as video distribution for companies such as Ingersoll Rand. I'll give you an example. Most recently, they helped launch the Ingersoll Rand nitrogen program, and we're basically going to rely on their experience a little bit in getting these logos and packaging and all those kinds of things developed to market.
Thank you.
Any chance of worldwide expansion? Europe, Asia, South America?
The question was, will there be distribution in Asia and South America? Is that correct?
Yes, Europe also.
Okay. We will be licensing the product to manufacturers in those areas. It is freight prohibitive to ship it across large bodies of water. Let's put it that way.
For now, okay, but later on possible. Thank you.
Well, it's part of the plan in the beginning to actually license it in the beginning, but it will be manufactured overseas. It won't be manufactured here for those comments.
Question, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How is your financing set up for your growth?
Okay. That's a very good question. We have 3 different avenues for financing right now. We have 2 existing finance vehicles, one with Wachovia, one with Southern Community Bank. I can assure everyone here that those banks are still in business, even though that everyone seems to think they're not. They are. I can also tell you that we have a credit line with Crestmark Bank, and I can tell you that we've only got about $150,000 tapped on it at this time.
Yes, sir. Earlier you mentioned a litany of companies with which you already have agreements. Could you hit those again, please?
Okay, the caller asked me to repeat some of the companies that we currently have displays that are in process for, or that we have contracts with, that kind of thing. I can tell you that some of them are Stanley, Lowe's, Home Depot, Levelor, Newell Rubbermaid. I can tell you there's a litany of others that we haven't mentioned, Chronotex, Irwin. There's probably 20, 30 different companies that we work for that have not been press released because their size doesn't meet what we would consider of importance. Anything under 100,000, we're not really press releasing.
Mr. Brown, there was outstanding shares about a little over 540 million the last time I saw, and then at the beginning of the program you said there was about 980 million shares outstanding. How did that come about?
The officers of the company converted all of their shares into restricted common. Let me repeat that question. I think that was a good question there. He asked, how did our share count go up from 500-something million to 980 million? I can tell you that the officers of the company converted our shares from preferred into restricted common along all of the other shareholders.
Okay. Looks like you're doing a pretty good job so far.
JD, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
JD, I have a question. I thought in one of your PRs you guys were going to be, at this conference call, you're going to be speaking about a worldwide retailer, 10,000 units. Unless I missed that, I did not hear that.
You're actually the first person to ask questions about the 10,000 piece order. It is a large order. I am under a non-disclosure from that same customer, and I can tell you that it is a very large order. You'll be able to watch it being produced if you like via our webcam, but you will not.
Muting canceled.
They don't like us to tip our hand before market penetration occurs.
And do you have a timeline as to when that disclosure may come out? Are we talking months or
within
days?
The next 30 days.
30 days, okay. That's excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir.
Can you give us an approximate retail price for the 10,000 units, or what the average price is for each of those units?
I don't know about an average price, but I can tell you that the first round of production equals about $350,000. There will be subsequent rounds of production. How many, I don't know exactly yet, as the customer is kind of fluctuating right now. But the first round of production is over $350,000.
Thank you.
JD?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me, as a portion of this business that you're doing with these large retailers, what percentage of that is do you think is reoccurring or is actually reoccurring revenue?
Okay, the question was what percentage of our sales is reoccurring revenues from a customer. So when we, for instance, announce a deal with Lowe's, what percentage of that is reoccurring? It's quite reoccurring. For instance, our contracts with Lowe's are typically 3 years, and revenues reoccur from that consistently.
In your sales this year for $6 million, is there any major concentration?
The question was, in sales for this year topping $6 million, do we expect it to be concentrated with any one area? No, I will tell you that we're pretty flexible on that. I will say that towards the end of the year, third and fourth quarter, as we start to ramp up our production and distribution, it will primarily be, there will be a large portion of our efforts moved towards the retail implementation of our new product.
Is there any one customer this year that will be like more than 20% of your sales?
More than what percentage of our sales, sir?
20%.
I would say that there'll be a couple customers that will be more than 20% of our sales. Those customers could include Lowe's companies, Stanley Hardware, and Walmart.
Good. Excellent.
JD?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is there any other large retailers that you can speak about that you're attempting to land business with that don't have disclosure issues, or?
I'm sure I can tell you that right now in the grocery segment, one of our big targets is Fresh Market. We've made some introductions and we're working there. I can also tell you that we're working with a group called iHold Group, and we're involved in their RFP process right now, and those are also related to the grocery industry. I'll tell you that the largest area of growth for us this year quite possibly could be some of the commercial work that we're going to be doing. And the reason for that is there's a lot of money being spent right now renovating schools, hospitals, and of the sort, and we're getting our share. And in fact, here in our plant right now, we have a large project for a college that's here now. And in fact, some of the guys that are here today visiting us have been able to see what it looks like. So I'll leave it to those guys to know what it actually looks like, but it's a very nice piece of business.
JD, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question about the, I guess it was 400 million restricted shares or shares that were going from restricted down to common restricted. Does that mean that they're openly traded, or I don't really understand what they were converted into?
Well, they were, the question was, what were these shares that were converted out? What were they? They were preferred shares before. They are now restricted common shares, which means, and I'll also say that none of the officers or holders of these shares have traded one single share. These shares are restricted, and we are required to report to the SEC if we sell any of those, which also reports it to the general public. The officers and myself have no intention of selling any of our shares in the foreseeable future, and that includes up for the next 2 years.
Okay, thank you, JD.
Company like Lowe's, how fast do they pay you?
Typically, Lowe's is a middle-of-the-road payer, 30 to 45 days. The question was, how fast does a company like Lowe's pay us? However, there are some customers, I'll give you an example, like Newell Rubbermaid. We do a lot of business with them. Their terms are typically, 90 days. Other customers, smaller customers, we require deposits of the sort, but the larger ones typically require 30. And I'd like to do is start by thanking our long-term shareholders for